Paradox Interactive and Colossal Order have broken up, and Paradox is keeping the baby. On November 17th, 2025, over 2 years since the release of Cities Skylines II, a statement was released on the Paradox forums that says, after more than a decade of successful collaboration across numerous titles that we're both immensely proud of, Paradox Interactive and Colossal Order have mutually decided to pursue independent paths. This decision was made thoughtfully and in the interest of both teams, ensuring the strongest possible future for the Cities Skylines franchise. Development of the Cities Skylines franchise will move to a different studio under Paradox Interactive's leadership, and Colossal Order looks forward to building on its experience across new projects and exploring new creative opportunities. Both companies are excited for what the future holds while remaining deeply appreciative of our shared history and grateful to the city's community. The CEO of Colossal Order then goes on to say, for over 15 years, the Cities series and our partnership with Paradox has been a defining part of our journey at Colossal Order. When we set out to create Cities in Motion, we never imagined it would grow to become a cherished franchise with a passionate, loyal community of millions of players around the world. We want to thank everyone at Paradox for their trust and collaboration, and of course the community for the incredible support that has made Cities what it is today. We're confident that the franchise will continue to thrive under Paradox's leadership. As we move forward, we're excited to channel our experience, creativity, and passion into new projects that align with our long-term vision. This was then followed by the deputy CEO of Paradox Interactive stating that our partnership with Colossal Order is one of the longest-running relationships we have enjoyed here at Paradox. 4 games, dozens of expansions, and a community of millions of Cities players. It's remarkable how much we've achieved together. We have deep respect for the Colossal Order team, and we look forward to seeing where they go from here. On our end, we're eager to continue working for the passionate Cities Skylines community and making sure to provide them with more content and new experiences. The statement then continues to say that this means the Cities Skylines franchise will move to a new developer, and we're pleased to announce that IceFlake Studios will be taking the lead. Based in Tampere, Finland, IceFlake Studios is one of Paradox Interactive's internal management game studios and is hard at work getting into the nuts and bolts of Cities Skylines II. Specifically, IceFlake will take over all existing and future development for Cities Skylines II, including free updates for the current version, continuous work on the editor and console editions, as well as future expansions and content packs. This means that Cities players will be able to look forward to new updates and content drops for many years. Colossal Order will implement a few additional updates before leaving, including the bike patch, which includes the long-awaited addition of bikes, old town buildings, bug fixes, and general improvements to the game. A beta implementation of the asset support for the editor, meaning access to asset mods, will also be available before the end of the year. IceFlake Studios will then take the helm for all development from the start of 2026. The studio manager for IceFlake Studios, the new developer at the helm of Cities Skylines II, then adds, taking the reins on a genre-leading franchise like Cities is an immense honor and a great responsibility. There's a huge, loyal community out there, and I want to say to every member of that community that we will humbly carry this legacy with respect, together with all of you. IceFlake has the capacity and capability to get started. We have a decade worth of experience from making city building and management games. We see a strong foundation and so much potential waiting to be unleashed, and I can't wait to show you what we have planned for the next chapter of this incredible game. Finally, the statement concludes by saying that both teams are working together to ensure that players will experience a smooth transition. IceFlake will introduce themselves in the coming weeks and share their plans in the near future, so you know what to expect next. Okay, so let's address the woolly mammoth in the room. Who exactly are IceFlake Studios and what have they done? Well, IceFlake's only major foray into something similar to city building on PC is with a game called Surviving the Aftermath, which was published by Paradox Interactive on both PC and Xbox back in 2021 and sits with mostly positive English reviews on Steam at the time of recording, with recent reviews being mixed. On Metacritic, the Metacritic score is 69, which is arguably nice, with a user score of 6.1, both of which are summarized as mixed or average. If we take a quick look at their website, we can see that before Surviving the Aftermath, IceFlake Studios worked on a modern fishing simulator called IceFlakes on iOS and Android. They worked on a game called Race Arcade, which is a top-down racing game on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch. They worked on Premium Pool Arena, which is a billiards game for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch. They also worked on Target Horizon, an historical war game on iOS and Android. They worked on Pirates Don't Run, an endless runner game on iOS and Android, and a handful of other titles also on iOS and Android. Now, to be clear, I'm not listing these games as either a positive or negative thing. There are plenty of mobile studios that go on to make really great games for consoles and for PC, and these guys having some experience in the console space might be beneficial to the console version of Cities Skylines II. I do, however, have to raise at least an eyebrow at the mention earlier of IceFlake Studios having, quote, a decade worth of experience from making city building and management games. Their website lists just one. It's not technically a city builder, and it happened to release exactly 4 years and 1 day before this announcement. If we step back a little bit further, I think it's also really important to look at what's been going on with Paradox Interactive these last couple of years. Because Life by You, which was a Sims-like life simulator, was completely cancelled, even after some creators had played it. I think there were videos out there on it, there were trailers, dev diaries, feature overview things, completely cancelled. Prison Architect 2 switched developer just 4 months before its scheduled release, moving from Double 11, who had been on the franchise for 9 years since Paradox purchased the IP, to Koku Games, I've no idea. But they are a studio who have a handful of Roblox games under their belt, as well as work on the Horizon franchise, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, EA Sports WRC, and a cozy bundle for My Sims. We should also keep in mind that Prison Architect 2 was scheduled to release on September 3rd, 2024, and then a month prior to this, on August 2nd, they announced an indefinite delay, refunds of any pre-orders, and there has been no news since. There are, unfortunately, a handful of other issues that have come up in the Paradox camp over the last few years, and so I can't help but feel really worried and cautious about where this leaves Cities Skylines as a franchise. Obviously, this announcement paints a picture of a bright future for the game, and I hope it has one. I want it to have one. I love Cities Skylines as a franchise, but a developer shift is rarely a good sign, and I can't think of too many examples where a developer shift in the middle of the life cycle of a game has gone well. Now, alongside the announcement about this change of developer, an FAQ was also posted to the Paradox forums to address some of the common questions and concerns that the community may have. So we'll take a moment, we'll go through them, I'll talk about each one as we get to them, and then we'll sort of wrap things up here, because there's really not too much that we know, despite there being a lot of reading around this announcement. What is the roadmap for the upcoming patches, such as the bike patch and asset mods? The bike patch will be available November 19th. It's time for bikes. You can look forward to a dev diary sharing more tomorrow, November 18th, and the patch will be live on Wednesday, the 19th. You also have a tutorial to look forward to in case you want to get into the details of bikes and old town buildings. New creator packs and radios will be available December 3rd. We have 2 new creator packs and 2 paired radios ready for you on December 3rd. More info on these and the creators behind them will be shared soon. Asset mods beta will be available before the end of the year. A beta version of the asset support in the editor is released, and asset mods will become available on Paradox Mods. A dev diary on the topic and more information will be shared close to its release. New content for Cities Skylines 2, especially free content, is always appreciated. Bikes are an exciting and fun addition to the game that, at the time of recording, I really can't say too much about, but I'll make sure to link the relevant dev diary in the description and pinned comment once it releases. At the very least, this gives us an idea of what to expect over the next 6 weeks between now and the end of the year. I know many modders have been waiting for a long time for a proper asset editor, so at the very least, this is a huge plus for them, even if it's just a beta release. When is the studio shift happening? Colossal Order will implement a few additional updates before leaving, including the bike patch, which includes the long-awaited addition of bikes, old town buildings, bug fixes, and general improvements to the game. A beta implementation of the asset support for the editor, meaning access to asset mods, will also be available before the year end. IceFlake Studios will then take the helm for all development from the start of 2026. Again, I would assume this means that Colossal Order will have a handful of Cities Skylines 2 tasks ahead of them between now and the end of the year, although I wouldn't be surprised if most of those things, if not all of those things, are already done and they're kind of already out the door, because 6 weeks in the world of game development really isn't all that much time. I would assume if they are doing anything, it's probably literally just polishing some of these updates before they go out to the relevant parties, whether that be the beta release of asset editing or that is off to IceFlake Studios for them to take over at the start of the new year. Either way, 2026 is going to be a very interesting year for Cities Skylines, and I doubt we'll get much news from Colossal Order about what they're doing next, but I would imagine it's going to be a very interesting year internally for Colossal Order as well. Why is the mods editor in beta, and how fast will you be able to address any launch issues? The asset support in the editor is quite complex, and that is why we're launching it in a beta state, as at this stage, it's primarily intended for users with extensive modding or asset creation experience. However, if you just want to access and use asset mods, you can subscribe to these on Paradox Mods without needing to use the editor. When it comes to the editor itself, this will be a new feature for IceFlake to get up to speed with. Because of that, we can't share a specific timeline for post-release fixes yet, but we'll monitor feedback closely and prioritize improvements as needed. So I don't know a lot about modding Cities Skylines 2 or games in general, but I do know that we've been reading and hearing similar statements about the asset editor for about 2 years now. The complexities are known, and I just hope that this is the final stretch when it comes to getting it properly finished and out the door. It's completely understandable that it's new to IceFlake and that they will need time to get up to speed with it, but I would imagine that this comes with a level of apprehension for the modders, because this kind of reads like a soft launch for another year of development before it's actually out of beta. Again, I think it's understandable. IceFlake is a new team coming into this, but it's a little disappointing that we were kind of right there and now it feels like, maybe we're not. What will happen to Cities Skylines 2 now? IceFlake will take over all existing and future development for Cities Skylines 2, including patches and polish for the current version, continuous work on the editor and console editions, as well as future expansions and content packs. It's a long-term commitment, and Cities players will be able to look forward to many new updates and content drops in the future. So I think at this point it's worth mentioning that a lot of what's in this FAQ is also word for word from the announcement itself. So part of what I'm going to say in response to this is going to be a repeat of what I said earlier. So basically, the idea of many new updates and content drops in the future sounds very exciting, and I do want to be optimistic about it, but I would be lying if I said that my corpo speak detector wasn't just going nuts right now. I totally understand that neither IceFlake nor Paradox will be wanting to make any promises about Cities Skylines 2 right now, but the future could be anything. If this doesn't work out, the future could be about a year and then nothing at all. And to be clear, this concern isn't totally unfounded. I hate to say it, but infamously, Paradox published Star Trek Infinite back in October 2023, and then in March 2024 announced it would be receiving no further updates. And as we mentioned earlier, they did indefinitely delay Prison Architect 2, which could still be amazing if and when that comes out. The reason I say if that comes out is because they also completely cancelled Life by You. Once again, they've had a rough couple of years, and I should say, I love what Paradox does. I've been very fortunate to work with Paradox several times. I've had several sponsorships from Paradox over the years. I feel very, very grateful to have visited their offices, to have just had an opportunity to spend time with these people in the real world, talk to them, and just geek out about what they do. But I think I will be doing a disservice to myself, to them, to all of you watching this video if we don't acknowledge that, yes, it has been a rough couple of years for this company. Now, obviously, Cities Skylines is a different franchise entirely when compared to Prison Architect, to Life by You, God rest its soul, or to Star Trek Infinite. And so I suppose all of this is to say that I want to hope for the future of Cities Skylines 2, but I don't want to get my hopes up too much because this really does just boil down to corpo speak. This kind of means nothing right now. Are current issues like performance or simulation bugs still being worked on? The bike patch and asset mods patch include free updates and bug fixes to the base game. After those are released, IceFlake will be taking over development of the base game and all future updates, including patches and bug fixes. Once again, the FAQ is kind of repeating what it said before, and I think this is kind of a given at this point. There's really not going to be one quick fix for Cities Skylines 2, so I would assume that going forward, each update, if and when we get them, will just address a handful of bugs at a time, and hopefully in a year or two or three, Cities Skylines 2 won't be known as a buggy mess of a simulation. I really hope so. Who will finish the console edition? The IceFlake team will be handling all development for Cities Skylines 2, including the console edition. And will this cause the console release to be delayed further? We are continuing to work on the console version and look forward to sharing updates with the community as soon as we are ready. Let's be frank about this one. This is basically, yes, it will be delayed again. They're unlikely to say it as bluntly as that, but with a switch to a smaller development studio, I would be shocked if we don't see a significant delay to the console edition of Cities Skylines 2, or even an outright cancellation of the console edition, which would be disastrous for Paradox as far as I'm concerned. And this is factoring in the fact that IceFlake Studios does have experience with console games. But as far as I can remember, it was always stated that the console edition of Cities Skylines 2 was being worked on by a separate team of people when compared to the PC edition. That could still be the case here within IceFlake Studios, but unfortunately, we just don't know right now. And if I'm honest, I feel like if that were true, it probably would have been stated quite clearly that a separate team is working on it, so that really might not be the case anymore. Why was IceFlake chosen as the studio to continue development of Cities Skylines II? IceFlake brings strong experience in simulation and city building games and has demonstrated the creativity, technical expertise, and passion needed to take on the development of Cities Skylines. Once again, I'm going to be very blunt here, but I'm not going to be blunt about their creativity, technical expertise, or passion, because I know nothing about IceFlake. While I had known about Surviving the Aftermath for about a year before its launch, that was largely down to it being another Paradox management/survival game, which I always like to keep an eye out for. I've been playing Paradox games for well over a decade, probably closer to 2, enjoying most of the ones that I played, and I thought Surviving the Aftermath looked quite cool. I even had a sponsored video for it back around the time that it came out. This is to say that I just don't know about this one, Chief. Again, I know nothing about this studio, so it could be packed with industry veterans who specialize in simulation and city building games. It is possible that some of the people from Colossal Order have moved to IceFlake. I do believe that Colossal Order hired some of the modders from Cities Skylines 1 to work on Cities Skylines 2, so they might have moved over to IceFlake as well, but their portfolio thus far kind of paints a different picture. This isn't to say that they're not talented, it's not to say that they're not capable, but I am concerned, based on the games that they've made so far, about the future of Cities Skylines 2. I really hope I get an opportunity to meet with and talk with some of the people from IceFlake, as I did a couple of times with some of the Colossal Order team, and I genuinely hope my concerns are misplaced. This is one of those situations where I just hope I'm wrong, and I hope my worrying and all of our worrying is for nothing. I hope that in a year I can look back on this and breathe a sigh of relief. I don't know. I just don't know. We are over 2 years since the release of Cities Skylines 2, and while this announcement and while this FAQ is looking to the future, I feel like we're just back at square one. I feel like we just don't know anymore. While we kind of, I just don't know. I can imagine that IceFlake are probably feeling things heating up a little bit as the pressure builds. I guess I just hope that they don't melt. Will this impact the design or focus of the development? The core identity of Cities Skylines 2 will remain unchanged. While every studio brings its own development style, our shared goal is to continue evolving the game in a way that stays true to its foundation. Once again, I kind of have some doubts here, although this isn't necessarily a bad thing. When Paradox Interactive bought the Prison Architect IP, everyone kind of knew that there would be DLC, downloadable content, that was going to come out for the game. That's just what Paradox does, and that's fine. Double 11 were brought in to steer the ship and develop a path forward, and so eventually the DLC started to flow. Something I often hear about the Prison Architect DLC is that they are typically anywhere from good to great, but that the tone feels a little bit different from what the original developers had set out to do with Prison Architect. Now, in fairness, Prison Architect did release in 2015, which, my god, that's over a decade ago, which means that a tonal shift kind of makes sense as the years go by. Even Cities Skylines 1 had tonal shifts here and there as DLC continued to release, and of course, the huge tonal shift between Cities Skylines and Cities Skylines 2 is something that we still discuss to this day. In truth, I think this point is more to try and relax the angry mob before it gets riled up. I don't think we're going to see any major changes to Cities Skylines 2 that feel massively out of character, but a slight tonal shift is almost going to be guaranteed. That's kind of just the nature of art by different artists. A Spielberg movie doesn't feel like a Tarantino movie. A Ghost song doesn't sound like an Electric Callboy song. I'm experiencing an issue with the game. Will this be fixed? We encourage you to check whether your issue has been reported as a bug or blah blah blah. Basically, keep calm and carry on. This doesn't really change anything. This doesn't really mean anything for what we're talking about here today. If you have a bug, report it, they'll get to it. What will Colossal Order do instead? And will Colossal Order shut down? Colossal Order will work on new projects and explore new creative opportunities. As I said earlier, I've been fortunate enough to meet some of the Colossal Order team, and so I really hope this is true and that everything works out for them. City Skylines, as far as I know, is all they've been working on for over a decade now, and it's a shame that the last couple of years have been spent kind of struggling with the sequel. Did they bite off more than they can chew? Yeah, maybe. Did they get in over their heads with the sequel? Yeah, probably. They're still a really passionate team though, and that was clear when I got to talk to them back at an event in September 2024, so I really do just hope they land on their feet. I really hope they make more games. I'm really excited to see what these guys do going forward. When can we expect the first content from IceFlake? We don't have a concrete timeline to share just yet. The IceFlake team is hard at work getting fully settled into the project and will share more details about the plan as soon as they can. I'm gonna throw out a shot in the dark and say that I'm thinking towards the end of summer 2026 is when we might see some content from this team. This is based on basically nothing other than the fact that I know there's typically no major game updates throughout the summer from Paradox and, up until now, Colossal Order, and I believe that's in large part due to the fact that vacation laws in both Sweden and Finland allow for 4 consecutive weeks off of work, which is typically from June to August. So I would assume they get back into work sometime in August, finish up whatever they're doing, and then September is their first sort of release for Cities Skylines II. So moving towards a conclusion for this whole thing, I'm gonna be honest, I'm really in shock about this news. It came out of nowhere. This isn't one of those things that any creators knew about ahead of time. There was nothing like that. We're as shocked as everybody else. Bikes and content creator packs are exciting, but I just can't shake the feeling that this is yet another nail in the coffin for this franchise. I had really hoped that Bridges and Ports would hit the ground running and re-energize the franchise and the community to get people talking and excited about the future, and in some ways I think it did a little bit. I think people were pleasantly surprised about what that pack offers, and I think they were looking forward to a future where Colossal Order would start making a bunch of other cool things for Cities Skylines II, but now it seems like we've snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Rather than talking about what exciting things are coming in the future, the conversation, I think, is going to focus on whether or not there is a future. Obviously, the announcement and the FAQ state that there will be, and I believe that's the plan, but this is just really, really concerning. I wish there was more I could say about this, but I'm still trying to process the whole thing. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I'm still thinking about, are we going to have, I mean, Cities Skylines and Cities Skylines 2 will always be there, but are we going to see any updates for Cities Skylines 2 beyond 2026? I hope so. I really, really hope so. This is just based on past experiences with other games, other franchises, but unfortunately with Paradox as well. Even with this announcement, even with this FAQ, I feel like everything is very much up in the air right now, and I feel like the entire sort of the community is now sitting back and going like, oh boy, here we go. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That's going to do us for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.